Force, a Jedi. All of it. It's all true.
Greetings, my friends, and welcome to another episode of Star Wars Fiction, where we create exciting fan fictions and discuss everything Star Wars, including its new content. I hope everyone is having a good weekend so far. Since we are now in 2019, that means we are getting geared up for new content from Star Wars and Lucasfilm. If you aren't attending April's Star Wars celebration in Chicago, be prepared for a lot of new information and juicy details to drop then. While new Star Wars content is definitely something to be excited about, some fans are still affected by The Last Jedi and maybe even Solo. Perhaps the new animated series Star Wars Resistance didn't do much for you either. Well, I'm here to tell you to fasten yourselves in because I think this content we are getting this year could help balance out the fan base like it was before. By that I mean it could right some wrongs in the fans' eyes while giving other fans something to be super excited about, because let's be honest for a minute, the fan base hasn't been the same since December of 2017, and my hope is that this new content can bring us back together and unite us as one of the largest fan groups out there. And I'm absolutely not saying that it will make everyone happy, but it would be cool to see as many fans as possible come together and be excited and celebrate this new content like before, and maybe even move on from the past. Dare I say forgive and forget if this new stuff is any good, because I really believe Disney and Lucasfilm are now listening to the fans now more than ever. Before we begin, make sure to comment what Star Wars content you're most excited to see this year. Although most of the super exciting releases we are looking for are definitely in the second half of the year, we're still going to be getting some excited things sprinkled in sooner than you think. First off, we have the animated series Star Wars Resistance, returning on January 13th. Yes, the animation style took a little while for me to get used to, but there is a decent story that will help fill in the gaps between Episode 7 and maybe even lead up to Episode 9 eventually. Disney has also announced that it will return for a second season, debuting this fall. For those of you that are into Battlefront 2 like me, we will be getting Dooku on the 23rd as a playable hero, and Anakin Skywalker sometime in February. I know I'll enjoy playing some heroes versus villains, playing as these two heroes. We also have the Marvel comic books coming out throughout the year, and so far, the series about Anakin and Obi-Wan between Episode 1 and 2 while Anakin is a Padawan has been very fulfilling, especially since there isn't much canon content about that time period. Expect more of these throughout the year, covering various characters from the prequels, original trilogy, and even the sequel trilogy eras. But what I'm most excited for in the first half of 2019 is the 3 novels we will be getting between now and July. First up is The Queen's Shadow by E.K. Johnston, which will cover Padme Amidala's transition from Queen to Senator. This book is sure to have some new prequel secrets and might even explore Padme's thoughts on Anakin over the 10 years they didn't get to see each other. Look for it to release on March 5th. About a month later, on April 16th, we will get Master and Apprentice by Claudia Gray, which will inevitably explore some of the adventures of Qui-Gon Jinn and his apprentice Obi-Wan Kenobi before Episode 1. Again, this time period is very relatively unexplored as far as canon content is concerned, so I'm sure we will get some much desired information from this novel. Finally, we get Thrawn Treason by genius author Timothy Zahn on July 23rd. This is the one I'm most excited about. I'm sure this story will take place around the time period of the animated series Star Wars Rebels, right before Thrawn gets lost in hyperspace with Ezra Bridger. Perhaps it will start with his power struggle within the Empire and lead to him, well, being lost in space and go inside his head, where his loyalties are being questioned. Sometime before the summer, I expect the exclusive Oculus Quest virtual reality 3-part series of Darth Vader to be released, titled Vader Immortal, and written by the director of the Batman Dark Knight movies, which were pretty good. It is rumored that we will be getting some new content focused on the Sith Lord and his castle on Mustafar. Making a jump into the holiday season, we will be getting the next highly anticipated video game titled Star Wars Jedi: Fallen Order. It follows the story of a Jedi Padawan that survived Order 66, which takes place shortly after Revenge of the Sith. I'm hoping it's geared towards using survival tactics to avoid being detected by the Empire, and only bring out your lightsaber as a last resort. It is even rumored that Barriss Offee, Jedi Padawan from the Clone Wars series, could be one of the main antagonists of this game, like an Inquisitor. I'm even holding out hope that this Jedi Padawan we're talking about could be no other than Kanan Jarrus. These last 3, The big three are what I think will define Star Wars 2019 being successful or not, and by far are the most anticipated. The first one being the return of the Clone Wars animated series. Original director Dave Filoni will be taking the helm to give us these 12 episodes of unfinished stories which will tie in the rest of the animated series and movies. I expect the unfinished episodes to be heavily used with some new ideas and primarily focus on the Battle of Mandalore, since that was essentially the tail end of the Clone Wars. We have not been given a release date yet, but I'm hoping for a fall release along with Disney's new streaming service. We've never had a live-action series in Star Wars before, and that's what we're getting sometimes towards the end of this year. And yes, it will also be on Disney's streaming service, which already has me sold, and I'm sure some of you guys as well. And it hasn't even come out yet. What we know about it is it takes place a few years after Return of the Jedi, which is good because we don't have a ton of canon material in that time period. We know that it will follow a Mandalorian's journey throughout the galaxy. He'll wear armor and look how Jango Fett and Boba Fett do in the Star Wars movies. Jon Favreau, the guy that brought us Iron Man back in the day, will be the director. So I'm sure we will be in for a treat with this one. And yes, last, and hopefully not least, is Star Wars Episode 9, the final installment of the Skywalker saga. We don't have a title yet, but we do get Lando and Luke Skywalker back in some shape or form. There is a tremendous amount of pressure on J.J. Abrams to pull this movie off, but I think he will find a way to please the fans while giving us a quality ending to the story we have come to know and love over the last 40 plus years. What gives me hope is this movie is supposed to heavily tie into and reference to the prequels. I am very optimistic about this movie, and I don't think any retconning will be necessary. Make sure to mark your calendars for the December 20th release date. That's all the major Star Wars content that has been announced so far for this year. You can count on us to keep you updated on all the details, as well as give you our take on the new content as it's released. Make sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to be the first to know about our new videos. If you liked today's video and you think it deserves it, please give us a like. Your continued support is what our channel needs to grow, so it can continue to improve and produce top quality content to reach as many fans as possible, and hopefully help in reuniting the fan base over our love for Star Wars. Stay tuned for our next video on What If Han Didn't Shoot First, releasing next Thursday. Until next time, my friends, may the Force be with you, wherever you might be in the galaxy, far, far away.